Okay, in this video, Module 7 of Cisco curriculum, we'll be discussing the common WAN terminology. Actually, the WAN physical layer describes the physical connections between the company network and the service provider network. And there are specific terms to use to describe WAN connections between the subscriber, and that is the company or the client, and the WAN service provider. As you can see in the figure, the diagram shows that the line separating the subscriber from the WAN service provider is the demarcation point, this area. And the point of presence of the subscriber's cable is the cable junction box. So this refers to the demarcation point. So these are the specific terms that we should be familiar with when it comes to the study of wide area network. We need to be familiar with the different terms associated with WAN technology. The first important term is the data terminal equipment, or the DTE. And we have the data communication equipment, or the DCE. Normally, the data terminal equipment, or the DTE, this is the device that connects the subscriber LANs to the WAN communication device, and that is the DCE. This also inside host that sends their traffic to the DTE device. The DTE connects to the local loop through the DCE. The DTE device is usually a router, but could be a host or a server. And the other one is the data communications equipment, or the DCE. This is also called data circuit terminating equipment. This is the device used to communicate with the provider. The DCE primarily provides an interface to connect subscribers to a communication link on the WAN cloud. If you take a look at this diagram, the DTE is actually a router, and the DCE is actually the CSU-DSU, the one that is providing a clocking signal that is connected to the local loop, or the start of the point where the customer's premises will start. So if you notice the demarcation point, there is a box here, the cable junction box, connecting the local loop. This is the wire connected directly to the central office switch, where the central office switch is connected to the WAN service provider network, which is called the toll network, where the toll network is composed of different routers on the different connections. So if you take a look at the actual WAN devices on the subscriber's end, these are actually the actual device. For the DTE, that is the router, that router is connected to the console cable and goes to the local area network of the company. And there is a V35 cable here that is connected to the CSU-DSU. And usually this is a modem. And the modem is actually directly connected to the telco. And this is our demarcation. This is where the start of the connection from the ISP, or the internet service provider. And this is another example of CSU-DSU router that connects to the ISP. If you notice, this is a CSU, DSU, CSU. This router provides the clock signal and connect directly to the ISP. And from this router going to the local area network of the company. Right? Now, actual video of our company, I made a video to show you the actual connection of our CSU and DSU inside our company. So let me show you the actual video. Let me play this. Switch, and this is our firewall, the two firewalls, the perimeter firewall and then the main firewall of the company. Now the demarcation point, this is the cable junction or the local loop. This is the wire that is coming out to the central office, and that is the start of the cable, the start of the cable connection going inside to the company. So I will show you again a video. I took a video for our local loop, the start of our demarcation inside. This is the outside of our university. This is actually the local loop that is connected to the service provider. From this point, the underground cable, these are all fiber optics cable going inside to the university. This is our demarcation point, the start of our connection. Cable box namin. So, demarcation point of our university, fiber optics. I'm outside of the university right now. Junction box. All right. So the DTE and the DCE cable is, as an example, these are we need to use these cables in order to connect a CSU, DSU that is going to the telco and going to our router. Again, our router serves as the data terminal equipment that is going inside our local area network. And connecting between CSU and DSU is the DTE and DCE cable. Just like what you see on the right of the diagram or on the figure, these are the CSU-DSU connectors. This DTE is actually having a wider part, or there is a male part of the cable. And the router end is having the female part of the cable. Okay, so these are the different types of DTE, DCE cable. Actually, this is DCE. So there's some error there, correction. This is DCE. Okay, this is DCE and then DTE connections. So this is the male part is actually the DCE, and the female part is the DCE. This is the DCE. And in this kind of cable, it's like they are similar, but there is a printed on the body that tells that this connector, this part of the connector is the DCE. Okay, so if this is the DCE, the other side will be the DTE. But if the type of serial cable is like this, normally this is the DCE and this is the DTE. Okay, those are the serial cable used for the DCE and DTE connection. From CSU, CSU is the device or a modem that provides clocking signal that converts analog to digital connections. Okay, this is the DTE and DC devices router. Subscriber either own the CPE, so the customer premises equipments either owns the equipment or it leases this CEP from the service provider. So to show you the customer premise equipment in actual design, the CPE is actually the fiber optics converter. So in our company, this is our CPE that owns the company CPE. This is the fiber converter. This one. This is what we call the customer premises equipment, where there is a fiber optics conversion. Okay, from outside, from the demarcation point, the cable will go here in order to convert the signal into lights. Okay, from electrical into fiber optic signal. This box. So if you notice, we have two CPE or customer premises equipment here. In our case, where we have fiber optics concentrator. This is where the conversion is happening from Ethernet signal into fiber optic signal. Let me. Ito pala. Okay. Then another important term is in the study of wide area network is the point of presence. The point of presence, this is the point where the subscriber connect to the service provider network. So from the local loop, the cable is running from there going to here. So this is the point of presence. From outside going to inside, this is the point of interface. So in this case, our ISP is Huawei. One of our provider here is Huawei. This is the point of presence. So this cable is coming from outside, going to inside, and this will goes to our core switch. This cable, this is also fiber optics cable. Okay, so this is the point of presence. This is where you can find the start of your. This is actually the demarcation point from the service provider to the subscriber's equipment. Okay. So the demarcation point, this is a physical location in the building or complex that is officially separates the CPE or the customer's premises equipment from service provider equipment. So this is what I'm like this one. This is the demarcation point of our network. The demarcation point is typically a cabling junction box located on the customer premises, that one, that connects the CPE wiring to the local loop. So from that box, we are connected to the local loop, where the local loop is directly connected to the central office where the switch is being found. The demarcation point identifies the location where the network operation responsibility changes from subscriber to the service provider. This is the location where the responsibility will be turned over to the service provider outside, but in the inside, it's the responsibility of the subscriber, the CPE, the customer premises equipment. When problem arises, it is necessary to determine whether the user or the service provider is responsible for troubleshooting or repair. So on the demarcation point, going inside, that is the responsibility of the subscriber. On the outside, on the local loop side, that is the outside, that is the service provider's responsibility. So that is the demarcation points, the separation of responsibility between the customer and then the service provider. Local loop, this is also called the last mile. Okay, this is actual copper or fiber cable that connects the CPE or the customer premises equipment to the central office of the service provider. So this is what I'd shown you a while ago, the big box outside our university. And then the central office, this is the local service provider facility or building that connects the CPE to the provider network. And the toll networks, these are what we call, this includes the backhaul or the long haul or digital or the fiber optics communication lines. These are composed of routers, switches, and other equipment inside the one provider network. This is called the toll network. It's like a toll gate wherein you can find all the concentration box, switch, and routers. In wide area network, this is called toll networks. And another important term in wide area network is the backhaul network. As I said, the backhaul network connects multiple access nodes of the service provider network. These are different routers that is inside the cloud. So that is called the backhaul. The backhaul network can span over municipalities, countries, and regions. The backhaul networks are also connected to the internet service provider and to the backbone network. The backbone network, that is the main connection from service provider to customer. We can also refer that as the backbone network, because the backhaul is also a network that is also connected to the internet service provider. Backhaul network. And the backbone network, these are large or high capacity network used to interconnect service provider network and to create a redundant network. When we say backbone, this is like the backbone in our body, the main connection that is having a high capacity network that is used to interconnect service provider network and create a redundant network. The backbone network service providers are also called Tier 1 provider. Tier 1 provider, because in every community there is what we call a local service provider, and that local service provider is actually connected to the main backbone. Like for example, the PLDT. Okay, PLDT is the main or the backbone of the local service provider. And then from the local service provider, We can also say that our backbone is for example, from our organization going to your local service provider. That is your backbone network. Okay, so this is also two important terms in the study of wide area network. Okay, so that's it. These are the important terminologies that has to be taken into consideration in the study of wide area network. The different terms. So that's it for this video, the important terminologies in the study of wide area network. So see you in the next tutorial.